Hello and welcome back. Game week 13 preview episode. We're going to talk about every single game coming up this game week. Players you should be starting, players you should be sitting, what teams to look out for, maybe players to get in as well. And we will jump straight into the big game, the 12:30 kickoff. Manchester City versus Liverpool. Manchester City, 32% chance of a clean sheet. Liverpool only 14%. I think it's going to be a massive, massive game for the goalkeepers. Obviously, Ederson versus Alisson, two of the best keepers in the league. Two of the best defences in the league as well, going up against each other. And the top of the pitch is obviously Haaland is a little bit of a doubt. I would expect if there's any chance that he's going to play, he will. So I would not be too worried for Haaland owners. Obviously on the other side, you've got Mo Salah, two big hitters going at each other. I would be hesitant to start the defences in this game. But forwards, I'd probably also be a little bit hesitant, but you're not exactly going to bench Haaland or Salah, especially in draft. So I'd be pretty happy starting most players. Maybe, your likes of Rodri. And if you've got some of the defenders that rotate in that City side and you've got other options, I'd start them instead. The next game, Burnley versus West Ham. 20% chance of a clean sheet. Burnley 32, West Ham, the Danny Ings derby. And Danny Ings looks like he could be playing in this game with Mikel Antonio out. Jared Bowen looks like he's got a knock. I expect him to play, but he normally fits into that number 9 if Antonio's out. I think with this game being obviously Burnley, I think Ings could be the one starting up top, and I think Bowen could be on the right-hand side. In any case, Ings should be getting a lot of minutes, and obviously a bit of a grudge match for him, so a large performance coming in for him. I think West Ham, you should be pretty comfortable starting most of their players. Thomas Souček been unbelievable away on international break. Kudus, who I talked about a lot before the international break, seems to have broken into this team as well. Burnley side, I'd only really look at starting Lyle Foster. Realistically, bar that, I would not go near any of their players. And that's, being generous, really. The next game, Luton versus Crystal Palace. Luton, 26% chance of a clean sheet. Crystal Palace, 37%. We've gone for Joel Ward, I talked about in my pickup video on Tuesday. I think Crystal Palace get a clean sheet here, or at least one of the most likely teams to get a clean sheet. It's a pretty tough game week for all defenders generally. So look at getting any Crystal Palace. Obviously, Ward, Anderson, Gehi or Mitchell are the ones that you are looking to get in, as they should be the starting back line. Luton, much like Burnley, you're only looking at Carlton Morris. Bar that, probably wouldn't go near any of their other players. The next game, Newcastle versus Chelsea. What a big game this is going to be. Newcastle, 28% chance of a clean sheet. Chelsea, 26%. Nicholas Jackson has been in fine form of late, obviously bagging that hat-trick against 9-men Spurs and then scoring in the subsequent game after. Chelsea are coming through a very, very tough period of games, but looking good. So I definitely look at getting Nick Jackson in. Obviously, Nkunku has just come back from injury and is back in training. I think this may be a bit too much too soon for him. So Nick Jackson, but Nkunku, if he is available, maybe you could trade for him just before he comes back. The next game, Nottingham Forest versus Brighton. 22% chance of a clean sheet for Forest, obviously, because Brighton very attacking. 29% chance of a clean sheet for Brighton. Tyrone Awoniyi, though, I am backing to score in this game. The Brighton has got a lot of injuries going on at the moment. A little bit makeshift at the back, and I think Nottingham Forest at home is always a fortress and a tough place to go. I can see Tyrone Awoniyi, he's returned from injury with a goal as well. I think he can carry on his fantastic season so far in this game. I'd be pretty happy starting, to be fair, most players in both these teams. I think Forest are having a fantastic season, obviously, along with Brighton. So I'd be pretty comfortable playing both these assets if you've got them. The next game, Sheffield United versus Bournemouth. Sheffield United has just been absolutely horrible this season. I talked about them in my pickup video with Semenyo, say as a Bournemouth asset to pick up as a forward position, but we're going to go for the main forward, the number 9, Dominic Solanke. Obviously a not world class, but class player in the Premier League. Definitely someone you would want to get in. Bit of a sleeper, I think, for a lot of people that have picked him up this season in performing very well for them. And against Sheffield United, it should be a game where you would be wanting him to score. In this game, Sheffield United, I hope you don't have any of their assets bar the goalkeeper. And Bournemouth, slowly, I think, are getting there. it's going to be an interesting season still for them. Solanke, really the only player you'd probably want from Bournemouth. The next game, Brentford versus Arsenal. Brentford, 20% chance of a clean sheet, even though you know how much I love Brentford at home. I'm going to say no. Let's not start their defenders. And Arsenal, 38% chance. Obviously, any Arsenal asset I would advise to start. Brentford, Neil Maupay, an interesting one, starting to get a lot of minutes at Brentford and playing well. So maybe he can look to end the year off in good form just before Ivan Toney returns. Gabriel Jesus came out very interestingly midweek saying that goals is not his priority at Arsenal, and it's not what he's good at. So that's an interesting thing, a bit of a worry maybe for FPL owners, because it looks like he's not going to be going directly for the goal, but I think we already knew that. It's going to come. He's the starting striker for Arsenal, so he's going to get some opportunities regardless. The next game, Spurs at home versus Aston Villa. Obviously, Spurs with some absolutely decimated by injuries, and Kulusevski I've got here. I think he really needs to step up in this game against Aston Villa. Villa have been playing very well. Emery came out and said the importance of Pau Torres has been to this team. I think it's been, since he's come in after a Mings injury. He came in, but he's been starting very well. Should be noted, Matty Cash does have a knock, so maybe Ashley Young could be starting here. For Spurs, they're going to need everything they can. I would be tempted to look and trade for Brennan Johnson, because I think they're going to need something or someone to step up in this team. And I know he's young, but I do like him a lot. And Ange put a lot of faith in him. But I wouldn't really go near defenders in this game. I think it could be a sort of 2-2 in this result. So get your forwards in, your attacking assets. You know who they are for Spurs and Villa. So get them, don't start the defence. The next game, Everton versus Manchester United. Luke Shaw back in training for the last 2 weeks. Could be a clean sheet. 28% chance of a clean sheet. Everton, 25% chance. Obviously, Manchester United well documented their troubles at scoring at the moment. But you've got to think, Eriksen's out injured. Doesn't help. Mason Mount, I'm backing to come in and start. Everton, I mean, the off-field problems we know about, the 10-point deduction. It depends how much these is going to detract from such a good start Everton have had to this season and distract the players on the pitch performance. I personally think Manchester United should be looking at getting a clean sheet and just consolidating from there. And the final game, the Monday Night Football, Fulham versus Wolves. Fulham, 33% chance of a clean sheet. Wolves, 29% chance. Wolves without Pedro Neto, I think, boosts the chance of a clean sheet for Fulham, which is why I've gone for Tim Ream. I told people to pick him up in the pickup video, and it looks like Tosin Adrabaya may be back from injury, so we can finally get a right-footed centre-back at Fulham, which will be nice and hopefully consolidate things there. And in terms of going forward, Raul Jimenez obviously playing against his old club. He finally got his first goal in, I think it was 33 league games in the last outing, so maybe this can be the game that he can build on it. But if you enjoyed the video, give it a like. Give me a comment down below if there's any questions you have about players you want to start or sit, or if you want to make comments on what I have said. And please give the video a subscribe. I do my 5 pickups every single Tuesday and a start and sit preview like this every Thursday. So win your game weeks. Cheers, guys.